Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Go Big or Go Home. I am Old Man Boy, joined by the Speedy Gonzalez youngster, Kevin Cunningham, a.k.a. Kid Cunny on Twitter. What's going on, Speedy?
Not too much today. I've got nothing going on today. My wife has off. We're recording this on Monday, MLK Day. So she's been off.
And you bartered to be able to do the show on Monday while she's off work?
I did indeed. So
what do you got to do in return? Because there's always a give and take in a marriage. Yeah. I know that from experience, and I've been married a lot longer than you have.
This is true. There's nothing yet. So
there will be.
Yeah. Probably. But yes, it's nice little chill day, so to say.
Yeah. When do you start the new produce gig?
Next week at some point. Still don't know, but I kind of hit it at an odd time. Got to be honest with you, because I hit it at a time where it was like the furthest away possible from the orientation, and then once the orientation happens, then yada yada yada. But so it's just kind of in limbo, just waiting for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. But
I thought of you this weekend too, youngster. I was at the store and it said now hiring produce clerk.
There you go.
I thought instantly of the youngster. All right. Enough small talk. We're all basketball today on this show, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, Big Ten basketball, and it's moving right along. It's awesome. And again, I don't know if it's maybe more awesome this year for me because I'm actually like betting on the games, but it's not like giving me a real advantage just because we do a Big Ten show. It's still Big Ten basketball, still competitive, hard to go on the road and win. However, we had some road wins this weekend, youngster. We're going to recap all the games.
Yes, we will. Starting now on Tuesday the 14th. So this is last Tuesday. Wisconsin was at home to Maryland, and Wisconsin won. They took care of business there. For some reason, did we go over Tuesday's games on last week's show?
Yeah, we did. Because remember, I said Wisconsin doesn't have the home court advantage. I thought Maryland was going to win. I took Maryland actually in my DraftKings Sportsbook.
Right.
Remember I told you I lost my parlay?
Yeah. Right.
I lost my parlay because of Wisconsin. Twice now.
Yeah.
Twice, youngster.
Right. Yeah. So
they've taken a lot of money out of my pocket.
Yes, I have.
Oh.
Okay, so fast forwarding to Wednesday then. So Wednesday the 15th, Rutgers was at home to Indiana, and Rutgers won 59-50. One thing that I forgot to do to start this show was go over the AP Top 25, and the reason I got reminded of that is because I was talking Rutgers, and Rutgers is in the Top 25. I don't know the last time Rutgers basketball was. I meant to look that up, did not, so my apologies to the listeners, but Rutgers is 24th in the country.
Well, it's got to be the first time since they've been in the Big Ten that they're in the top 25. Now, whether or not they were in before they were in the Big Ten, that's a different story.
Oh yeah, I'd be surprised if they were never in. But yeah, not in the Big Ten.
No, if they were never in, we would have heard the hoopla surrounding that when it came out.
I think it's pretty hard to never be in unless you're a new program. Like, you've got to be... I mean, imagine, 70 years going by and you never once being in the top 25. That'd be insane. Even
I would
Indiana
just drop
football,
basketball at that point.
Right. Indiana football, this past season, it was the first time in 25 years they were in the top 25. But it was still 25 years. It's ridiculous, but it's 25. Again, 70 years, imagine, never just being in the top 25. Would be something. But anyway, so top 25 very quickly here. Michigan State has vaulted to 11. They were 15 last week. They were the top Big Ten team a week ago. They still are. They're at 11. So that's that. Maryland is at 17, the same as last week. Iowa is 19. They were unranked. They were unranked. They're now 19. Illinois is 21. They were 24 a week ago. Rutgers was not in a week ago. They are now 24th. So again, there's a number of Big Ten teams in the top 25. Rutgers is absolutely the notable one, but Illinois keeps climbing. I'm glad so far to be right on Illinois this year because I bought into the stock coming into the season, and they have not disappointed to this point. Also, this is unbelievable. Joe Lunardi, his latest bracketology as of, this is a few days ago, I guess, 3 days ago, as we're recording the show on the 20th. But he had 12 Big Ten teams. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, that you can go to kenpom.com. That's a really good way to look at what teams are really good at in college basketball, offense, defense, how good exactly is a team. Not that it's perfect, obviously, but it's just a numbers-based thing. And they had 12 Big Ten teams of the 14 in the top 38 at one point, which goes to show that basically there are 12 quality teams. Doesn't mean there's 12 good teams, but there's 12 quality teams. And again, the latest Joe Lunardi bracketology has 12 Big Ten teams in it. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Could you imagine 12 Big Ten teams making the tournament?
That's averaging 3 teams from the Big Ten in every single region. Just an average. AKA, I'm sure there would be a region where there would be 4, if not 5, because you're not going to have 3 in literally every single one. But like,
well, I don't think 12 are getting in.
No, I don't
I
think
can't
so
see 12, but I'll tell you what, youngster, we talked about last year in the magic number. But if they're putting 12 in now, it never reached double digits last year when we were talking. I think at one point it was down to like 6. It might have been down to like 5 at one point. And we were surprised that when the selection came out that they put in so many. And now, I mean, you're talking, we're already in the middle of January. You only got like 6 regular season weeks left. And there's still, the bracketology has 12 teams. I mean, so based on attrition, at worst, you're talking probably 7 teams at worst. That would be just over half.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
And that's being like totally pessimistic.
Right.
I mean, we could see another record this year, youngster. We're not getting 12. There's not going to be 12 Big Ten teams.
No, I think 10 is a possibility, and if one team gets snubbed, if there are 3 extra bid stealers this year from conference tournaments than usual, I don't know what the average number is, how many teams get screwed out of position, so to say, because there's been too many upsets in the conference tournaments in early March. If there are too many this year, then maybe a Big Ten team loses out on a spot. But yeah.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen, because Lunardi's basing that, and we talked about it last week on the show. Lunardi's basing that off all of the favorites in the conferences to win their tournament.
You could argue, and I don't know how many true bid stealers there potentially are. Like, I know there's like 30-odd some conferences, but how many of those, like the ACC, it doesn't matter who wins that unless it's literally like a 2-14 ACC team. But a really good ACC team is going to win the ACC tournament and would be in the tournament anyway. So the ACC, that doesn't matter. But so, basically even the Big Ten too. There's not going to be some team that goes on a 5-game run and wins the Big Ten tournament. I'd be shocked. But so anyway, there are only so many bid-stealing opportunities, but you're right that they are going to happen, and Lunardi is not going to randomly predict those. So you can see on his bracketology anyway, every single bracketology he does, he has the last 4 in, like the last 4 teams that barely make it, and have to play-in games. And then there's the next 4 teams that have a bye, so to say, so they don't have to play in the play-in game. But you can almost automatically take those last 4 in and just slash them out, because there will be 2, 3, 4 upsets that happen in small conference tournaments that completely take away a bid. So I think around 4, I think that makes sense. So Minnesota's in that group. So if you're Minnesota, you're hoping for 0 upsets to happen, basically, and obviously there will be. So yeah, it's a good point. But yeah, at this point, if we see 10 Big Ten teams in the tournament, it shouldn't surprise anyone. These teams, I think, at this point are somewhat there is starting to be some clarity as to who the better teams are. But even the teams toward the bottom are, to me, they're pretty good teams, which, again, speaks to 12 teams getting in. But it'll be really interesting at the end of the year, Troy, to see what the conference record is of the worst team in the Big Ten that gets in. Like last year, it was 8-12. You went 8-12 in conference play, and you could still make the tournament. I think it was Iowa. I'm not sure. From a year ago, there were two 8-12 teams. One made it into the NCAA tournament. One did not. Based on body of work, that kind of stuff. But maybe a 7-13 team gets in this year. I don't know. I mean, you would assume a 7-13 team would have to get in if 12 teams get in, if that's what's supposedly happening. But in any case, we'll see. So enough bracketology and top 25 stuff, unless you got more on that, Troy.
Nah, we can move on.
All right. So Wednesday the 15th, again, Rutgers beat Indiana. Rutgers was at home. Rutgers now at home is 13-0.
Yep, don't bet against Rutgers at home.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are. Rutgers is undefeated at home, 13-0. It's not 5-0. It's not 8-0. It's not a bunch of cupcakes. They're now 13-0 at home. So that's a real thing. What is it, Maryland? Yeah, Maryland's 11-0 at home. Every other Big Ten team has at least lost a game at home. But Nebraska Northwestern at home, 5-5, 4-5. The rest of the Big Ten is either undefeated or has one loss at home. So I mean, it's unbelievable. So in any case, again, Rutgers over Indiana. Rutgers also got back, I believe it was this game, they got Geo Baker back, the guard who's been out for a couple weeks. Let me just make sure on that. Yeah, he played in this game, 22 minutes. So that helps Rutgers even more so. Also Wednesday night, Minnesota at home against Penn State. Minnesota was at home, so they won. And Daniel Oturu is a really good big. We've said that a number of times on this show. 26 and 14. And Marcus Carr, the transfer from Pitt, and the guard, had 27 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds in this game. That's a nice inside-outside combo to have in Carr and Oturu for sure. And Penn State at one point was in the top 25, and they're now 2-4.
They're in their valley right now. They're in that little wave of ups and downs. They're in the down valley right now.
They did win their last game, which we haven't gotten to yet. But so they're 3-4 in the Big Ten. I should go through the Big Ten standings as well, very quickly, just to showcase that there is some parity now. Michigan State's the top of the conference, 6-1. You got Illinois and Rutgers tied for second at 5-2, and then you can stop right there and just take that in, that Illinois and Rutgers, 7 games into the Big Ten season, are tied for second. The only team that has a better Big Ten record after 7 games is Michigan State.
And they're only 1 game up.
Right. I mean, it's unbelievable. Illinois and Rutgers both ranked, both second in the Big Ten. It's unbelievable. Iowa, Wisconsin, Maryland, Indiana, all 4-3. So those are the teams above 500. The only team at 500 is Minnesota, who's played 8 games, who is 4-4. And how they've played 8 games, I'm not really sure, since every other. There we go. Michigan's played 6. There we go. Okay. I thought every other team played 7, and I was like, that's not possible. But I have found the outlier. So yeah, Minnesota's at 4-4, right in the dead smack middle of the conference, and then you got Penn State, Purdue at 3-4. Michigan 2-4, Ohio State, Nebraska at 2-5. Ohio State, I think they won 1, lost 1 this past week. At least they won 1, because they lost 4 straight coming into this past week, and then they won their first game, lost their last one. So at least Ohio State got another win, but it's not as though they're putting a streak together, which, at this point they're 12-6, but maybe if it stays this way, this is the quote-unquote worst Big Ten record team to get into the NCAA tournament. But kind of like Lenardi has stated, is that Minnesota is the real team on the bubble. And why is because they're 10-8 overall. They didn't necessarily take care of their non-conference. They went 6-4. So, that means something as well. Also, Minnesota's 0-6 on the road, which you want to put together an NCAA tournament resume, how'd this team do away from home? Oh, they were 0-for. You need to get some road wins somewhere. The only teams that are doing decent on the road, Wisconsin's 3-3, Iowa's 3-2, Illinois is 2-3, and Michigan State's 2-1. Everyone else is at least 2 games under 500. Some of them, 3, 4, 5 games under. Minnesota's 0-6. So there are a couple teams. There's a handful that are staying afloat on the road, which I think means something. But
it does.
Anyway.
If you can go 500 on the road, you're probably.
Oh yeah.
We talk about the really good Big Ten home records. You know that there's going to be probably a couple more losses. But if you can win 80% of your home games and go 500 on the road, you're probably going to make the tournament.
Oh, absolutely. This year. That's automatic. If you win 50% of your Big Ten games, period, you're getting in the tournament this year. I don't think that's really a debate. It doesn't seem like, unless you had a bad non-conference like Minnesota. Like Minnesota's 4-4, they're squarely on the bubble because their non-conference was terrible.
But if they finish 10-10, youngster, that puts them at what? 16
and 14. 16 and 14 overall.
Yeah, they'd have to win a game or two in the tourney.
Yeah. That's what's going to be interesting, too, is typically the magic number overall is get to 20 wins and you have a chance to get in the tournament. I think that this year, I'd be surprised if there's a big team that doesn't get to 20 wins and still doesn't make it. Obviously there will be teams like that, but my point that I'm saying, poorly worded, is I'd be surprised if there's a 19-16 Big Ten team that doesn't get into the tournament, or an 18-16.
I was just going to say the magic number for a Big Ten team might be 18 wins. As long as you're around 500 in the conference. If you're around 500 in the conference, like 9-11, 10-10, and you got 18 overall wins, you might get in.
Yeah, I don't know what the lowest overall number, overall record is for an at-large team to make the tournament. I don't know what that is. It's just usually the cutoff line is 20. There have been 19-win teams to get in. I don't know about 18. Because again, like Minnesota's a perfect example. 16-14 going into the Big Ten tournament.
And if they go 2-1, they're 18-15.
Right.
That's not a very good record. But if they were 10-10 in the Big Ten and won 2 games in the tourney,
right?
You're going to be playing. Maybe your first game isn't 8. Well, it will be. There's 12 quality teams.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see. All right, carry on.
No. Very interesting. Thursday the 16th, no games. Friday the 17th, Michigan State was at home to Wisconsin. Michigan State won 67-55. And then Iowa.
They controlled that game. We got a new assist leader in the Big Ten, and I wanted to talk about that when you brought this up. So I didn't know if you were going to mention that.
Well, very quickly, also Friday night, I just kind of wanted to read the score. Iowa against Michigan. Iowa was at home, so they won 90-83, which
What's
I
up
think
with Michigan? I thought they were in a Final Four team with Juwan Howard being the guy.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Luka Garza, 33-7, the Iowa big. He's a player. There are a lot of really good bigs in the Big Ten this year. Usually you have like one dominant one, and then you've got like a couple other really good ones. But this year it seems like half the teams have a really good big. It's interesting. I was trying to see the Michigan. No, he's still not back yet. I'll have to Google during the show exactly when the timetable is for him. But I know Michigan's still without one of their leading scorers. He didn't play in this Iowa game. But to give up 90, if you're Michigan, that's the real concern. But anyway, you wanted to talk about Michigan State, Wisconsin.
Well, we got a new assist leader in the Big Ten, breaking Mateen Cleave's record, don't we? You want to throw that out there?
Yeah. Mr. Cassius Winston, who 4 years ago when we started this show was a freshman, now a senior. And this is, I think not necessarily that he is, I think before the season started, everyone just assumed he was the best player in the country, and I think he's one of. I don't think he is. I'll say this, that in a typical year, I don't think you see just Cassius Winston lead a team because he's the greatest player in the country and leads them to a Final Four. I think that he needs help around him, and Michigan State gives him that help, which, again, allows you to dish that many assists in a career. But I think that this year, like Michigan State, yeah, they've been up and down. I guess more up recently. I shouldn't say up and down. They were up and down 6-7 games into the season. Now they've been up. But the way they're playing, I mean, like, again, the way they're playing, they're much better than the 11th ranked team in the country, especially this year when there is no dominant team. Like, Gonzaga got passed up for number 1. Baylor had an impressive win, so Baylor got up to number 1. Gonzaga's down at 2, I think. But, you know, again, there have been better Gonzaga teams over the years. Not to say that this one isn't really good. I know it's really good, but it's not as good as their best team has been. And this year's Baylor team, I watched them on TV for like 10 minutes, and I was like, this is a 1 seed, really? Like, they're really good, but they're just not this dominating team that it's like, yeah, put them in the Final Four.
You could have a Final Four without any number 1 seed this year.
Right. So,
here's what I wanted to talk to you about this Winston record. It's not so much that he got the record.
Sure.
It's just that you look at the longevity to break records in not only college basketball, but football. And a lot of the one-and-dones, Kevin. So I look at this record, and if I could, like, stand up and shake his hand and pat him on the back, I would. Because a record now, you break a record in the NCAA, and pretty much it means that you are playing 4 years. You have to.
Oh, yeah.
And I look at it, and he could have went pro last year. He very well could have. So I look at records like this, Kevin, and I don't think as we move forward in our lifetime that we're going to see a lot of records being broken over time. A lot of the good players are going for the money, and I don't blame them.
Right.
But in basketball, it's a little bit different because there is guaranteed money based on your selection in the draft, where the NFL is a little bit different, and you got a chance. If you think you're going to be drafted, you're still going to get a contract. But in the NBA, only first-rounders are guaranteed.
Right.
If you're a second-round pick, I mean, you have no guarantee of anything.
Right,
and really, if you're not a lottery pick,
yeah,
you're really fighting your way into a roster.
Yeah.
So I just look at the record, Kevin, as a longevity thing for Winston, and I wanted to get your thought on this, on how many more records are we going to see be broken? Points scored, and I'm talking for a career. I don't see many more career records being broken, to be honest with you. I mean, there's really good college basketball players, but the good ones usually put up numbers, and years ago, a lot of the great ones played 4 years, the Larry Birds, the Magic Johnsons.
Right.
I don't know how many years they played, but they weren't one and done.
I know it was at least
those
3
guys
for
clearly could have been one and done.
Yeah.
But they weren't.
Yeah.
So that was my question to you. How many more career records outside of this one are we going to see be broken, youngster? I don't think it's many.
No, I'm with you. I think that absolutely comes with being able to leave school early and just the trend of it, which, like you said, how do you blame a kid if he's guaranteed millions of dollars? You know, I don't blame them at all. I would do the same exact thing, honestly. As much as I loved college, and as much as I would love college even more probably if I'm playing and I'm some superstar at a college, you know, you've got guaranteed millions of dollars in front of you if you just say, hey, I'm leaving. Like, that's all you have to do. And you're guaranteed millions of dollars. Like,
yeah, that would have been like Manchester City coming up to me after my sophomore year in college and say, hey, you want to come to England and play? We'll give you $1 million. I would have been like, yeah, I'm out of here. See you, Whitewater.
Right. You know, as much as you
not
love
that
Whitewater,
was going to happen, but
yeah.
I wouldn't even thought twice about it.
Exactly. So I mean, yes, because of that, because of players leaving early, the really good ones, yeah, you're 100% right that when a record like this is broken, we should take the time more to say, wow, this is ridiculous, and to make it a statement that this is ridiculous, because, again, there have obviously been really good players to get a bunch of assists in the Big Ten over the course of the history of time. So for a guy now to reset this record is pretty remarkable, because, again, like you said, Troy, most of the really good players are gone after 4 years, and I think there's something to be said in college that's kind of the one thing that makes me hesitate. Yes, I don't think there are going to be a ton of, career records left and right being broken. I think it slows down for sure. But I also think that there are guys like Cassius Winston who you're really good. The NBA just doesn't necessarily think you're a lottery pick after year one. And then in year two, yeah, you grow a little bit, but it's like, he's a sophomore now. Yeah, he's a little better, but you're still not guaranteed a lottery spot. And
no,
I think
but
the point
because now you got 7 or 8 high school seniors that have entered college that are better than you. And now
younger.
You've actually fallen down 4 spots in the draft.
Right. You can even maintain your level of play, and 7 kids come in as freshmen, are as good as you now, and they can say, hey, we're a year younger. So if you're an NBA team, you get us for a year longer, which gives you more potential, and, then they can be better than that sophomore they're comparing to. And so your NBA stock gets worse and worse the older you get. As unfair as that is, it's, depends on what a team's looking for, too. Like Cassius Winston a year ago, if you're a Milwaukee Bucks team and you're looking for a backup point guard, you give Cassius Winston a hard look at number 30, as opposed to the Suns picking at number 2 can say, what do we want a junior for? We want a freshman. We want a young kid to go through this rebuild. We don't want Cassius Winston, even though Cassius Winston could arguably be better than the number 4.
Yeah, kind of like when the Bucks took Brogdon.
Exactly. Yeah. They wanted a more polished player, So, yes, I'm with you. And the other point I wanted to make is it's so hard to be a lottery pick, to be basically guaranteed a lottery pick. Because, again, like you said, second-round picks, not guaranteed contracts. What that means is 30 players get guaranteed contracts. And if you're in the back 10 especially, you don't know that you're going to be selected in the first round. You could be selected 21st. You could be selected 32nd. And it's entirely different. You have nothing guaranteed. So it's night and day, just 10 picks, So you've got to be incredible to be a top 15 player in the world to say, yeah, you're going to get picked in the lottery. At worst, you're going to get picked like 20th, So you're guaranteed a contract. I mean, you've got to be incredibly good. And the NFL, it's completely different. You have 7 freaking rounds.
And you have, and you have free agency and training camp, and how many street free agents make teams. I mean, you have a handful that do that every year.
Yeah.
So, there's more opportunity.
Yeah. A lot more roster spots for sure. So anyway, yes, I'm with you. Hats off to Cassius Winston. It's incredible to break a record like that, and he's still got another, 15 or so games left.
It had to happen against my Badgers, but oh well.
Yeah. He's got, another 15, 20 games to go, so you could see him, beat that record by a pretty solid amount, too. So nothing to scoff at, for sure. So I'll move on to Saturday's games, unless you got more, Troy.
No, go ahead.
All right. Maryland at home against Purdue. So Maryland was at home, so they won the game. 57-50. One thing with Purdue, too, we've talked about how at home they're certainly one team, and this is kind of the case for a lot of Big Ten teams, but Purdue especially because of some of the wins they've gotten at home, like them crushing Michigan State, them crushing Virginia, stuff like that. Purdue's 8-1 at home, 1-5 on the road. They're 3-4 in the Big Ten. Couldn't go to Maryland and get a win. Maryland's defense, I think it's something we haven't really talked much about, but I do think they have a really good defense. I think neutral court NCAA tournament, you'll be able to see that more. But defensively, they're very athletic, and they've got good players at a bunch of different positions that can defend a bunch of different positions. So I like Maryland, probably more than you would classically like a 4-3 Big Ten team, but it's kind of hard to not be 4-3 or worse. There's only 3 teams that are better than 4-3. So if you're 4-3, you're doing pretty well in the Big Ten, and if you finish above 500 in the Big Ten, if you finish at 500 in Big Ten play, you're in the tournament. I mean, that's almost a given, again, unless your non-conference was horrific. So, anyway, moving on. Penn State at home against Ohio State. They won 90-76. This is the loss for Ohio State. Again, Penn State was at home, so they won. Ohio State, I mean, 2-5 in the Big Ten now. They got their win earlier in the week, but this, at some point, these teams, especially Ohio State, need to go on the road and pull a victory. I mean, it's not necessarily considered an upset. It shouldn't be. Ohio State going on the road to Penn State shouldn't be considered that massive of an upset. But this year, if you look at the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the bottom 9 teams of the Big Ten, they're 0-4. 0-4, 1-3, 0-6, 1-3, 1-5, 0-5, 1-4, 0-5, 1-5. That's their record on the road this year. Then at home, like you look at their home record, 11-0, 11-1, 9-1, 10-1, 8-1, 8-1, 10-1. It's ridiculous. At some point, you have to get road wins. But at the same time, do you? If you're Maryland, it doesn't matter if you get a road win. You finish 10-10. That's 6-7. That's 20-11 overall. You're 10-10 in the Big Ten. You're doing just fine. You're good to go. So you don't necessarily need a road win, but
that's where the separation comes, though, Kevin, in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
If you can steal those road wins, you're going to put yourself into that upper third of the Big Ten.
Right, because you look at Wisconsin, who's 5th, they're 3-3. Iowa's 4th, they're 3-2. Rutgers hasn't been as good on the road, they're 1-3. They're just perfect at home. Illinois even 2-3. I mean, they're still 2nd in the Big Ten. But yeah, you're right. That if you want to separate and get 12, 13, 14 wins, then you have to win on the road. That's just mathematically.
And that's assuming you go perfect 10-0 at home.
Right. But
to be honest, there's nothing to scoff at if you go 3-7 in the Big Ten on the road. You think about that. Huh. You got 10 road games, right? So even if those road wins are against Nebraska or Northwestern, still a road win.
Yeah.
But even then, those two places are becoming hard to play. They're not just going to roll over and say, "Hey, yeah, take the win. You're coming to our house. We're going to play." So if you get those 2 wins, if you happen to, you're going to play them, but you may not play them home and away. It all depends on how your schedule's laid out. But if you're playing them on the road and you get that road win, and you happen to have them both on your schedule on the road, hey, there's 2 road wins right there. So, carry on.
Yeah. Also on Saturday, Illinois at home against Northwestern. Illinois was at home, so they won 75-71.
But Northwestern gave them a scare.
Right, 75-71. Second half was dead even. Northwestern didn't go away.
I actually made an in-game bet on this game that Northwestern would win. It was only $5.
Mm-hmm.
But I had really good odds on it. I'm like, you know what? What the heck? $5 is $5. I can turn $5 into a little bit of cash if Northwestern can somehow pull this upset. It was like plus 1,600 or something, youngster, when they were down by 4. And I'm like, you know what? That's the heck? Crazy.
Yeah.
Like plus 1,600 and you got them down by 4? I know they're terrible, but how do I pass that up?
That's turning $5 into $80.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy at that rate. So,
so why not? Why not give it a go?
Right. Yeah.
But my point there is they are playing them tough.
Yeah.
Normally when you see the plus 1,600, a team is down by like 12 or by like 14. No, they're only down. I think they're down 6. And I'm like, you know what? They've been playing them tough all game. I'm going to take a fly on this. It didn't work out, but hey, like you said, $5 to turn into 80 just like that. It was worth the gamble to me. All right, carry on.
Yeah, Illinois is, not to go off, but Illinois, I liked Illinois before the year started. They're 5-2 in conference play. They're ranked. This is a good team that has 6-7 very quality players, multiple NBA guys, multiple NBA guards, I should say, and eventually, potentially, their center is a freshman. He could be an NBA guy down the line, but their 2 guards are projected to be NBA guys, which come March, that helps you for sure, and it's showing in this Big Ten season. That's why they're 5-2 right now. So it's a very good team that I don't think a lot of people understand, that they are very well balanced, and again have a couple really good guards. Anyway, in Nebraska at home against Indiana to close out Saturday. Nebraska was at home, but they actually lost, which is unbelievable.
Woo! A road win!
Yeah, of course.
This is what I'm talking about, though. For Indiana, it doesn't seem like much, but there you go. There's a road win for Indiana. A win that is much needed.
Right. They could have been 3-4 in the Big Ten. Now they're 4-3, which is a big difference. Instead of being under 500, instead of being closer to the bottom than the top of the Big Ten, they're now 4-3, 14-4 overall, obviously in the NCAA tournament. So, it's different if you lose to Nebraska and you're 3-4 in the Big Ten, and it's like, doesn't look as good, for sure. So, going to Nebraska, going to Northwestern, that's when these teams can really use wins to say, yes, we belong in the NCAA tournament. Only game on Sunday, the 19th, Rutgers at home against Minnesota. Rutgers, again, at home, they won. By the way, Minnesota was 4-3 in the Big Ten before this game. They have Oturu, they have Carr, they have very quality players, they're a good team, but Rutgers said, no, we're going to hold you to 56 points and we're going to win the game. I mean, Rutgers...
I wonder if they're stealing plays at home.
Pulling a little Houston Astros. Got some buzzers.
Going on. I had to. They're stealing signs.
There's no, if you look at this box score, to say, okay, well, Rutgers is actually good this year, why? You can look and you say, well, this guy scored 11 points. That was their leading scorer. They scored 11 points. And here's the thing, though. 3 players scored 11 points. Another guy scored 10. Another guy scored 7, which, eventually that leads you to 64 points in this game. And because Rutgers plays defense, that's the difference, is this Rutgers team can actually play defense. That's ultimately the difference. It's not as though Rutgers is running up and down the court with a bunch of athletes and they've got a bunch of really good scorers. But they just play good defense. And if you can do that and defend home court, and, there you go, 5-2 in the Big Ten. And this is a quality team that's ranked now, and, it's very odd. But Rutgers is a ranked team in college basketball. Again, mostly because of their defense. Their leading scorer, their leading scorer doesn't even average 12 points a game. Ron Harper Jr., 11.8. But they have 4 guys averaging at least 9. A 5th guy averages 8.9. You could say 9. They do it a number of different ways, a number of different guys. They go 8 deep, 9 deep, I guess. So, they've got a bunch of quality players. They play good defense. It's tough to beat a team like that, where you can't key in on one guy and it's a struggle to score points. So, good stuff from Rutgers. I know, Troy, you don't necessarily want to talk Rutgers basketball, but unless you got anything on that, we can start previewing?
Yeah, go ahead, preview.
Monday the 20th, today, as we're recording the show, there are no games. Tuesday, Northwestern is at home against Maryland. And again, if you're a Big Ten team and you're traveling to Nebraska or Northwestern and you want to stand out a little bit, you want to get a road win, you want to, maybe elevate yourself as opposed to just going 10-10 and losing 10 road games, this would be a time to do it if you're playing Northwestern, at Northwestern. And I think this is one game where I will pick the road team to actually win. I will pick Maryland to go to Northwestern and win, but, we'll see. It's not a given. Northwestern's won a Big Ten game this year already. But I do think Maryland is too much. But, again, nothing is a given on the road.
No, but Maryland should go to Northwestern and win. This is the difference between being 11-9 and 10-10. It really is. It's a huge difference. It doesn't seem like much because it's like, Maryland at Northwestern. But if Maryland goes there and they lose, I mean, that's a loss you can't get back. So they should go to Northwestern. Talent-wise, on paper, everything is in Maryland's favor.
Yeah.
But you do have to travel to Northwestern, and as we found out, it's tough to play on the road in the Big Ten. But I'm picking Maryland too, my friend.
Yeah, fair enough. This one's interesting. Illinois at Purdue. Again, I think Illinois is the better team, but Purdue at Mackey Arena has been ridiculous this year.
Yeah, they have.
So I will go with Purdue in what may technically be an upset. I don't know the line. It's not in front of me, but I will stick with Purdue.
I can't imagine Vegas making Purdue a home underdog. Not the way they played at home this year. And Illinois is technically better, but when you look at it, the way, like you just said, the way Purdue's played at home, I can't imagine Vegas, and I haven't looked at the odds either, I can't imagine Vegas making Purdue a home underdog. It's probably going to be a +1 or a -1 for the spread, which is basically a pick'em game. But I would imagine that Purdue's going to be like +100, +105, they'll be minus. So Purdue will be the -100, -105, something like that. It's going to be a close line.
Right, 2-3 point favorites. But again, this is a Purdue team that beat Michigan State by 20 something earlier this year at Purdue. So I don't know. We'll see. Should be a good game. That's on ESPNU Tuesday night. Also Tuesday night, Wisconsin's at home against Nebraska. Anytime Nebraska and Northwestern are at home, you're picking the home team for sure. Unless they play each other. Yeah,
but you know what? My Badgers are like, I may not bet on that game. If I pick Wisconsin and all of a sudden Nebraska goes and pulls an upset, I will kick myself in the rear. There's no reason that Wisconsin should lose this game at home to Nebraska, which means they probably will. But Wisconsin, honestly, to me, Kevin, has played better than I thought they would. I thought they'd be more toward like the 8, 9, 10, 11 place. And I mean, one loss in the Big Ten could put them there. But I really thought that that's where they were. They stacked up, in my mind, like maybe the 8th or 9th best team in the Big Ten. If you remember the preview show, I wasn't sure they were going to make the tournament. Right. And that was going off probably 7 teams from the Big Ten making it. But the way they're playing now, I mean, this is one of those teams, when you start talking about Lenardi having 12 teams in the Big Ten, Wisconsin is the surprise team to me. I didn't think they were a tournament team when we did our preview. And if you look at the middle of January right now, based on where everybody's at, they are a tournament team. So now they need to prove it. They need to prove it by beating Nebraska at home. They lose this game, then just count them out. Literally, because that would be a horrid loss.
It would, but they'd still be 4-4 in the Big Ten.
But look at their non-conference. Look at their non-conference youngster.
That's what I was going to bring up. Was this is a team to look at when it comes to overall record because they are 11-7, and if they finish, even if they finish 11-9, you're still looking at 18-13 overall. which is fine. You just usually would have to win 2 Big Ten tournament games, which this year there are basically no givens.
There's no gimme wins.
Yeah,
and I don't even think, to be honest, even a Northwestern or Nebraska on a neutral site in the Big Ten tournament against that playing game, I don't think that is a given win.
Right.
I mean,
that's what I was going to say too. Is like,
oh, go ahead.
That's what I was going to say is Team 11 plays Team 14, Team 12 plays Team 13. Those are the only games in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. Everyone else gets at least 1 bye. Some teams get 2. But, so yeah, like, why couldn't Northwestern beat team number 11 on a neutral court in 1 game? Like, they could. They won't be favored to, but 1 game neutral court against the number 11 team and Nebraska against the number 12 team? Like, that's not insane. So yeah, getting multiple Big Ten tournament wins, even if you get Nebraska or Northwestern in the first round, okay, who do we get next? Oh, we get an NCAA tournament team right off the bat, immediately. So difficult.
All right, carry on.
So Wednesday, the 22nd this week, Michigan is at home against Penn State. This is interesting. I know Penn State's kind of been up and down in the Big Ten after starting hot. They're 3-4, but Michigan's 2-4. But again, Michigan's at home, so I will take Michigan. I don't think Penn State is that much better, and I think, I'll say that much. I don't think Penn State's that much better than Michigan. So I'll take Michigan at home. I don't even think
Penn State's better than Michigan on paper. I mean, athletic-wise, when you look at athletes.
Offensively. Right. Offensively, they're better. They probably have more athletes, maybe. But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking – so my point is I'm taking Michigan at home.
Yeah. I would as well. Also, Wednesday night, last game, Wednesday night, is Iowa at home against Rutgers.
Woohoo! That'll be a good one.
Right. Like, if you're Rutgers, it's kind of hilarious. Like, here we are late January, and Rutgers plays a road game in the Big Ten, and we're saying, ooh, this is a really good one. And not because they're playing a bad team, it's because they're playing the number 19 team in the country. It's like, what are you talking about? But Rutgers is ranked for a reason. They're 5-2. They're tied for second in the Big Ten. They're 14-4 overall. So yeah, if you're Rutgers, if you want to truly prove to people that you are for real, go on the road in the Big Ten against an NCAA tournament team and win. This is team number 3 playing team number 4 in the Big Ten on the road.
Well, and this is a statement game for Iowa to say, okay, here we go. We're ranked 19th for a reason. You're coming to our house. Boom.
You know what's crazy, too, Troy, not to cut you off, my last point here, is Iowa's at home against Rutgers, and at the end of the year you can say, hey, we beat Rutgers. Like, you have a home game against Rutgers, and that's something you can point to and say, hey, this is a quality win. We were at home against Rutgers.
As long as this keeps playing out, youngster, again, I'm not going to sit and talk about Rutgers. I vowed not to because of my passion to get them in a postseason tournament the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But again, you still have 13 Big Ten games to play. Now, they're playing phenomenal at home, but you mentioned their road record. What, 1-5?
1-3.
1-3. So going to Iowa, Iowa, Kevin, to me is just one of those teams that they're not fancy. They're a blue-collar team. It'll be tough for Rutgers. I'm taking Iowa at home. Iowa's ranked 19th for a reason. Yeah. So I like Iowa at home.
Yeah, I liked Iowa a year ago. Home or not, I liked Iowa a year ago. I like Iowa again this year. But, yeah. Thursday, Ohio State at home against Minnesota. If you really want to put a dent into Ohio State, if you're, put them at 2-6 in the Big Ten if they lose that one, and losing a home game. Like, Ohio State at this point has to win their home games. Because at this point, if they win out home-wise, and I don't know how many home games I guess they have left, but at 2-5, that's 7 games, 13 left. Let's say they have 7 at home, 6 on the road. That still puts you at 9-11, which, Again, this year that probably gets you in. But
if Minnesota goes to Ohio State and wins, they're out of Lenardi's poll being an NCAA tournament team. I really believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, 2-6 in the Big Ten. That's, it's one thing to be under 500 in the Big Ten, but 2-6.
Yeah, it's one thing to be 4-5 or 3-4.
Yeah.
But 2-6, I mean, that's a big hole. That's a big hole to crawl out of.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, here's the thing, Kevin. Though, again, it's Minnesota. You look at their home record. They play good at home, and then now they're going on the road, and their non-conference wasn't great. I like Ohio State at home.
They haven't won
I
on
do.
the road.
I like the home team. I like the home team again.
Yeah. I agree with you. Minnesota's 0-6 on the road this year. That's period. That's not Big Ten. That's period. They're 0-6 on the road. So, yes, I'm going Ohio State as well. Also, interesting one, Indiana at home against Michigan State Thursday night. That's on FS1. Both these games are FS1. But Indiana at home against Michigan State, I will take. This is the one team that to me, there's an exception, and it's Michigan State on the road. There are also exceptions of when you play at Nebraska, at Northwestern. I will make some exceptions there as far as my picks go. But I do think I would pick Michigan State to go on the road and beat Indiana. But, again, Indiana's 14-4 overall. They're 11-1 at home. That's going to be a dogfight. It should be a dogfight for Michigan State. But I do think the Spartans prevail there.
I do too, but I think this could be, I mean, if you're an Indiana team, you look and you say, if you want to make a statement at 14-4 and people really not buying into us at 14-4, this is the time to do it. You got Michigan State at home. There you go. Take care of business. I just think Michigan State's too much, Kevin. I mean, they're head and shoulders above everyone else, even Rutgers in second place. Michigan State is head and shoulders above the 13 other teams in this conference. There's no little group of 3 elite teams this year in the Big Ten. There's one. It's Michigan State. Like you said, they're ranked 11th. They're better than number 11 in the country. They're one of to me, they're one of the top 6 teams in the country. Just so happens where the losses happen, when the losses happen, other teams winning, they lose, they drop, blah, blah. You're ranked 11th. That's the way those crazy polls go. To me, they're one of the top 6 teams in the country. And they're by far and above the best team in the Big Ten. They can go on the road and win at Indiana, as they should. That's all I got.
To me, they're one of the top 4, honestly. And they may not get a 1 seed, but to me, they're better than Baylor. To me, they're better than Kansas. To me, they're better than San Diego State. They're better than Florida State. Louisville's really good to me. They're better than Dayton. Villanova's starting to catch fire, but I think Michigan State's better than them. I think it was Michigan State that played Seton Hall earlier this year and won. Michigan State's better than Seton Hall. Seton Hall is really good, and they're getting healthy. But, the only other teams that I'm not mentioning there that are ranked ahead, Gonzaga, Duke, Louisville. Those 3 are really good. I would say they're really good. I like Michigan State more than Duke this year, honestly. That's just me. And I'm a Duke fan, so I'm not some Duke hater. But anyway, any case, Tuesday the 21st, again, Purdue is at home against Illinois, and then fast forwarding to Friday to keep our thing going here. Friday the 24th, Purdue is at home again. They play Wisconsin. So 2 quality teams that they have to beat. They'll be at home, but as long as they keep doing their business at home, this is 2 NCAA tournament potential wins right in front of Purdue here. If they do that, they would move to 5-4 in the Big Ten. They would improve to
then all of a sudden we're talking about them next week as one of the top teams in the Big Ten, as well as we should. I mean, you get 2 quality wins at home. It doesn't matter if it's home or away. You've gotten 2 more wins, and when you go 2-0 in the Big Ten in a week, it's going to move you 3-4 spots up from where you're at right now in the standings.
Yeah.
And it just so happens the schedule plays out. They've got 2 home games. Good for Purdue. Because, like we said, they're a much better team at home. It's night and day. And I think they take care of my Wisconsin Badgers at Purdue. Yeah. I really do. I mean, Now, Wisconsin, could they go on the road and beat Purdue? They could, but again, we've mentioned this. Purdue is like a two-headed monster. A really great team on one side and just a so-so poo-poo team on the other side on the road. So they're at home. I think they beat Wisconsin at home.
Yeah. Again, Purdue won by 28-29, whatever it was, against Michigan State. So I think they can beat Wisconsin. That's the only game Friday night. That's on FS1, Troy, so you can watch that one if you want.
I'll be watching.
Saturday. There you go. Saturday, the 25th, Illinois at Michigan. Again, I think Illinois is better than Michigan, realistically, which is odd to say. But I think Illinois is better than Michigan. But, again, Michigan's at home. What's the other game that Illinois has? Oh, that's against Purdue. That's at Purdue. So Illinois is at Purdue on Tuesday and then at Michigan Saturday. We'll see how good Illinois is.
I like this. I like this as one of the road wins. I mean, we find one every week that's outside of Nebraska Northwestern.
Right.
I think this is the one.
Yeah.
And I think this is the one. And I will go on. And again, for those listening in, I'm not just shooting out of the what. I will put my money where my mouth is, and I will take Illinois over Michigan on Saturday in DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, I don't wager thousands of dollars, but I mean, for my hobby, for me to do that, it's my money, and so I'm going to wager my money, and I'm going to put it on Illinois straight up money line to beat Michigan at Michigan.
There you go. Going back to Wednesday, Rutgers again travels to play Iowa, and then on Saturday, Rutgers is at home to Nebraska. So it's one thing to lose. It's one thing to lose at Iowa. That's fine, but you damn well better beat Nebraska at home.
I don't see a problem.
No, me either. I think Rutgers wins that game. But if you want to say, yeah, well, there's still Rutgers, here's your opportunity to completely let people buy into the fact that you're still Rutgers and you're not that good. And
well, and that's what's going to happen. They're going to lose at Iowa, and then people are going to say, here we go. And then if they turn around and win on Saturday, they become 1-1 for the week in the Big Ten, which is the norm. That's the norm.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
You go 1-1 in the Big Ten, that's fine.
Yeah.
Going 0-2, that's not fine.
Yeah. They go 1-1 from this point on. They take care of business. Go 1-1, win your home games more often than not, pull off one road upset somewhere, and you go 1-1 every week, basically. Like they'd be fine. They would go 7-6, 6-7, one way or the other. Got 13 games left. That puts them at 20 wins. 6-7. Rutgers would be 20-11 overall going into the Big Ten tournament. They're in at that point. They just have to take care of business. So Saturday night, again, they're at home against Nebraska. Sunday, there are 3 games. This is the last day we'll preview here. Indiana at home against Maryland. Overall, I think Maryland's better than Indiana. But again, prove me wrong, or I will keep picking the potential NCAA tournament team at home in the Big Ten. Unless I'm proven wrong, So I've got Indiana at home against Maryland winning. I'm, a normal year, a normal schedule is happening, then yes, I will take Maryland to go on the road and win against a team they're better than, but not this year.
Yeah, not this. Something in the air. Something on the court.
Maryland on the road this year is 0-4. So.
Yeah, I got to take Indiana at home. I have to.
Yeah. No further analysis there, but it is what it is.
Indiana's a tough place to play, though, too, Kevin. I mean,
yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. And the thing is, that's when I look at this, and we're sitting here. I don't want to say we're jabbing at it, but really, when you look at all the big-time programs in the Big Ten, and when I mean Big Ten, I'm talking about the ones that are consistently knocking on the door to be in the NCAA tournament, the Iowas, the Wisconsins, the Michigans, the Michigan States. All of those venues are very hard to play at.
Yeah.
And that is where home court advantage does come into play, especially in the college game. So, I mean, it is weird to look at the records, but we also have to remember in the Big Ten there are some very tough venues to play on the road. Very tough.
Yeah.
So, carry on.
Speaking of which, again on Thursday, Michigan State travels to play Indiana. Michigan State on Sunday has to travel to play Minnesota. Those are two tough places to win. So it'll be interesting. Michigan State goes 2-0 this week. That's damn impressive because you're beating potentially two NCAA tournament teams on the road. That would put them at 8-1 in the Big Ten. That would be a statement. Not that they shouldn't go 2-0. Like if they're as good as we think they are, they should go to Minnesota. They should go to Indiana and win.
That's tough, though. That's two tough games. I mean, it really is. I really believe. I mentioned it. You think they're a top 4 team. I think they're a top 6 team. So to go to a Minnesota team, but again, Minnesota plays really well at home. Yep. What if Michigan State goes to Minnesota and has an off night, and they get out rebounded and they, and shoot maybe 30% from 3-point land instead of 40? I mean, they miss a couple of shots and Minnesota pulls off a buzzer beater. Could happen. Very well could. It's on the road. You play this game at Michigan State, hands down, I say Michigan State wins. It's on the road. It's at Minnesota, but Michigan State, to me, is the elite team in the Big Ten. I'm not saying they're going 19-1, but right now, the way that teams are playing and shaking out, I think Michigan State does get 2 wins this week, Kevin, on the road.
I don't know what team I don't know what the game would be for me to pick against Michigan State right now.
Not right now. I got to see more out of these teams.
Yeah.
Like for example, let's say we were talking about Michigan State going to Minnesota, but we were talking about Minnesota being a little bit better on the road and a better quality team and a really tough non-conference schedule. It was tough, but not that tough for them to be just a little bit above 500. So when you get a team like Michigan State going to Minnesota, they're great at home, but they haven't played the likes of a Michigan State.
Right.
So to me, there's no debate right now. But 3 weeks from now, you got a team traveling, or Michigan State traveling to, I don't know, let's say Indiana. And Indiana's, no, they're playing Indiana this week.
Yeah.
But so
Maryland,
maybe Illinois and Maryland, but a team that all of a sudden has proven to me, Kevin, they can win on the road. And a team that can go to other venues and win, and they want to separate themselves in the Big Ten, then maybe I'll pick against Michigan State. Until then, when it's just home and away crap, Michigan State is the better team everywhere, at least right now.
Michigan State at Maryland, maybe I'd pick Maryland. Michigan State at Iowa, maybe I'd pick Iowa. Again, this Michigan State team went to Purdue and lost by 28, 29 points, so not as though they're unbeatable, but they have been really good as of late. I'd take Michigan State on the road here as well. And then the last game, Northwestern at home against Ohio State. So Ohio State, again, you're at home against Minnesota on Thursday, and then on Sunday you're on the road against Northwestern. This could be finally when we could see Ohio State pull a 3-game winning streak. They won their last game. They lost their last game, so my fault. But if
they need to go 2-0.
Right. They should go 2-0. And if they do that, then they're 4-5 in the conference. Right.
Yeah.
And then
they're right back where everybody thought they would be. Yeah. But even if, Kevin, I'll tell you what, this is such an important week for Ohio State because let's say they lose and then win and go 1-1, that puts them then at 3-6.
Yeah.
And now you're just under halfway to go.
You got to win your home.
That's still not a good position. They need to win both this week.
Yeah, and you get the luxury of playing Northwestern on the road.
So they need to go 2-0 to get to 4-5. Because 4-5, it doesn't seem like much when we're talking. 4-5 it's only one game. That is a huge discrepancy in the Big Ten. Huge.
Yeah.
So they need to go 2-0. I mean, I don't want to put must-wins on teams in January, but in the Big Ten, Kevin, there's teams. If Lunardi is saying 12, then there's a lot of pressure on these teams that are 2-4, 3-4. You've got to get those 2-0 weeks if you want to continue this. And this is a week when the schedule lines up for Ohio State the way that it is. You're not playing, you're not playing Iowa and Michigan State, and we're saying going 2-0. The schedule has lined up. You must go 2-0 this week based on your opponents.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's going to be a big kick in your kahunas.
Yep. I agree. So that's it. That's all the previewing, recapping, all that stuff. But so far, so far Big Ten teams are still dominating at home. There was also a tweet I saw, talking about how home teams actually now in all of college basketball, they actually don't have that much of a home court advantage this year compared to other years. It's actually
have they looked at the Big Ten?
Well, right, but overall numbers in college basketball, that's actually down. But the Big Ten is just such a ridiculous outlier. That includes the Big Ten, by the way. But still teams are down. But that's what makes it even more amazing. In the Big Ten, it's just how freaking dominant teams are at home. It's not like that anywhere else in the country. But the Big Ten,
we'll see as this season continues.
Yeah. To this point. But yeah.
All right. All righty. Well, folks, make sure you find us on Twitter. Youngster Old Man. That's where all the links to all of our shows, not only Big Ten, but we do internet radio, we do regular radio. We do a lot of things. So find us on Twitter at Youngster Old Man. Same on Facebook at Youngster Old Man. If you want to follow the Youngster on his own, at Kid Tunney, I am at Troy Robert 967. But make sure you find us on social media if you like what we do. Have a good day, everybody. We'll get back at you next week. Same place, same time. Enjoy.